Hello, this is Brian Tomaszewski from the Rochester Institute of Technology. Today I'm going to show you how to log on to ODK Aggregate, extract data out from ODK Aggregate in the KML format, and then import the KML data into ArcGIS. As you can see right now, I'm on the ODK Aggregate login screen. I'm going to log into ODK Aggregate using the username and password that you were given in the previous teacher trainings. In my specific case, I have it tied to my Google account, so I'm going to sign in with Google. But you should click this button for your Aggregate username and password. So I'm logging on, and the first thing you should see are the various geotagger version 2 forms. If you do not see things like this, click up here on the upper left and make sure that geotagger v2 form is selected. Okay? So what you see here are the various points that have been collected at the schools. Now to get this data out of ODK Aggregate, I'm going to use the ODK Aggregate export function. To do that, I'm going to click here on this button that says Export the Data, located at the upper right of the screen. So I click on the Export button, and I get prompted with some various parameters to set for the export. So where it says Type, I want to select KML file, and I'll leave the filter alone. I want to keep the geo point as the location, because that'll give me the latitude and longitude. And the title can be the description. Again, these are all just the fields that were collected by ODK Collect on the tablet, and that you can kind of see behind this form: description, location, and so forth. Picture you can leave the same. Okay? So once you've selected KML file, title, description, you click the Export button. So I'm going to click that button, and it takes a few moments for ODK Aggregate to generate a data set. You can see right here it says generation in progress. Okay, now it's done. It says KML file is a data set that is available, and it has the time when I'm making this video when it was completed. So today is March 12th, around 3 o'clock my time in the United States. So all you have to do then is click on the link that is created. Okay? So once you click that link, you're going to download it and save it on your computer. So I'm going to click on that link there. And in my case, I'm being prompted to save it. I'm going to save mine in an easy to find location. I'm going to save mine on my C temp directory. And you can rename it whatever you want. I'll just leave the default name. That's fine for what we're doing. So I'm going to save that. Okay? And that all happens pretty quick. And that's it for ODK Aggregate. You've now exported the data out of ODK Aggregate, and you're done with ODK Aggregate. So now we're going to switch to looking at the KML file itself a little closer. Okay? So here it is now being looked at with Windows Explorer. Assuming that you have Google Earth installed on the machine you're doing this work, just double-clicking the file will open it in Google Earth. You can see that it has the Google Earth icon next to it. So I'll double-click on that, and Google Earth opens up. And if you look along in the legend here, because I've downloaded everything, you see a bunch of different points. Here's one, a CGIS one. If I double-click on that point, it'll zoom me into that location. And you can see that many of these points are spatially referenced correctly. These are a series of points that were collected during a teacher training around CGIS. Here's the main road from Kigali into Butare and so forth. If you zoom out a little bit, here's points that have been collected around GSO Butare, And then if you just kind of go down the road, where's Gisagara? Here's Gisagara, points are over here, okay? So at this point, if you wanted to change things around, you could. If you wanted to change the icons, I'll just pick one at random, garden. You can look at, here's the data that gets collected. You can, if you click view, it will open the picture that was collected on the tablet in a web browser. So who's this here? I don't know these guys, but there's some people. Okay. For some reason, I don't know why, the picture probably should be showing up there, but I don't know why. But again, anything you know about Google Earth in terms of if you want to edit the point, change its symbol to something else, you can do all of that here, okay? All right. But our goal, remember now, is to go into ArcGIS for more sophisticated mapping and to also match with the training, okay? So I'm going to switch now to ArcMap. Okay. Now what you see here is ArcMap version 10.2 for desktop. Now that's something important I wanted to mention. If the versions of ArcMap that are being used are not version 10.2, earlier versions of ArcMap, such as ArcMap 9.x, I believe do not have direct KML import tools. So that could be a potential issue, and I'll talk about that at the end of this video. Okay? So I'm assuming that you have at least 10.x. If not, maybe it's time to upgrade your version of ArcMap and look into your MOU with Esri Rwanda about getting the newer version so we're all on board. Okay? Again, too, this part assumes basic familiarity with operating ArcMap. The KML import tool is within the many tools of Arc Toolbox. I honestly am not as good at just jumping right at tools. Oh, it looks right here, from KML, KML to layer. You can also access this tool if you go over to the search window and type in KML. Right? Here's to KML, from KML. What you want, though, is KML to layer. It's a conversion tool, right? So conversion tools from KML, KML to layer. Through the toolbox or through the search window, you can find it just by typing KML if you can't remember where it is in there. And that's a good lesson to tell people about the search window. So I'm going to click KML to layer. And like it says, converts a KML or KMZ into feature class and a layer file, maintaining the original symbology. So that can be important. So the input KML file is simply going to be that KML file that you downloaded out of ODK Aggregate. So as you recall, when I downloaded it to C temp, and there's my KML file. Okay. So I'll select the KML file and hit open. Now the output location is going to be a file geodatabase and layer file that ArcMap is going to create based on the KML file. So again, I'm assuming that the teachers have been taught about basic file management in ArcMap. The tool will default to the default location on the system, but if you don't want to use that, pick a different directory. So what I'm going to do is click this button, and I'm going to go to my C temp folder and use that as the location. Oh, I'm sorry, you have to click it there and then hit add, okay? So, and again, if you don't want to use the name, this is the name the geodatabase will be called. I'll give it a new name. I'll call it school data, okay? Okay, so it's a pretty easy to use tool. Again, you select the KML file you want to import. You select a directory where the output file geodatabase will be created, and then you give the output file geodatabase a name. And then hit OK. And if you watch down here on the bottom right, you can see the tool starting to run. Okay? And it's always a good sign when you've seen the green check mark and you see the output. Now what ArcMap just created for you was a file geodatabase of all the points. Now again, it kept the symbology that Google Earth used, which was the default yellow pushpin. So that is something that you could have changed back in Google Earth if you had modified these points and saved them, or you can do that in ArcMap. It doesn't matter. Okay? To learn more about what happened too, if I go to Arc Catalog and I look at my C temp directory, you can see there's the file geodatabase that was created from the KML, and it'll create a feature data set and then the feature class called points. Okay? And then there's the layer file associated with it, and the layer file is actually what gets added to ArcMap. So if I right click on school data, go to properties, you can look a little closer at some of the details of it, and you can look here. Here it's telling you it's a file geodatabase class, where it's coming from, and so forth. Okay. If you look at the attribute table, you can see all of the things these were the things that people collected when using ODK Collect on the tablet computer. All that comes in as attributes, and some other things from KML and so forth that may or may not be of interest. Okay. Now, there are a few place marks from RAT United States in the upper left here that you're seeing. I'm going to zoom in on Rwanda because that's what we're more interested in. And I'll get kind of a general kind of thing. Now, I'll add one of ArcMap's base maps in for a little more context. How about I'll use the light gray canvas? That's a good one. And so you should see, even by moving the mouse cursor, my coordinates are decimal degrees. They're in Rwanda. And we'll just take a moment for the base map to come up. Okay, so there we see the light gray canvas base map. There's Butare. And again, depending on your internet speed, the base maps may or may not be a good option. But with CGIS having its own base data, vector data, or even images, perhaps you could use those for the points. Okay. So you can see it's waiting to draw. Again, now these are ArcMap feature classes. So anything you could do with a shapefile, file geodatabase, or so forth, you can now do with your points. So, for example, if I don't want to use the default Google Earth yellow pushpin, I can change them all to squares. And I think the base map is yeah, I just have to put these, just put those on top. And let's see, just pause for a second. Okay, I came back. I was having a little trouble with those base maps, so it's not really important. I'll add something else. I'll add some vector data I have on my system, some Rwanda data here. So here we have some administrative boundaries of Rwanda. But again, these are feature classes inside of ArcMap. So here you have CGIS. There's Gisagara. You can change, like any other ArcMap layer, you can change things around and so forth. So ideally, once we get better data inside of these point collections, we can do more interesting kind of mapping of quantitative data. None of this data really has it, so it's only going to be sort of qualitative mapping and so forth. Okay. Okay. Now, I did want to mention one thing. Like I said a few minutes ago, this was all done with ArcMap 10.2. So if you're currently using an earlier version of ArcMap, like ArcMap 9, if you go and look, there are tools out there. Convert KML to shapefile. These are older, but they should work depending on what your system is. I also did just a Google search, import KML ArcMap 9.3. So some of the documentation on these older things are in there if what I'm showing in this video doesn't work. But again, I would really encourage you to get your version of ArcMap updated as per access to the Esri software that CGIS should have through the relationship with Esri Rwanda. Okay? So thanks for your time, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.